Well, hello, Bill.
Hey, Don, how you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. Hey, Buster, how are you today?
Doing fantastic, Don. Trying to stay cool. That's proven to be an impossible task.
Pretty
though.
humid today.
I've been out in the sun. It was,
Yeah, you do. I can see it, man.
We're making that homemade peach ice cream out here.
Yeah, I did. I still don't understand that. We just had cake and ice cream. Is that just?
Just because that's
ice cream.
That's
It's
how we
peach
roll.
flavor.
I was already singing happy birthday to somebody. I didn't know what it was, but that was good. Peach ice
I'm
cream.
sure it was somebody's birthday.
And yeah, it's somewhere at 5 o'clock somewhere, isn't it? His birthday somewhere. But anyway, yeah, we've had pretty humid in store. We were able to close the front doors. I don't like the front doors closed, but because I want people to feel welcome. But it did help the front part of the store not to be quite as hot and muggy. So it's been a good day. People from absolutely everywhere today. I don't know how many guests we had, but it was a lot.
Well, we have a special one today. Bill, do you want to tell the folks at home who we've got here with us?
Well, I'm going to let her introduce herself. She and I have been friends for, oh goodness, 30 minutes?
I think so, yeah.
Maybe an hour. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you for having me. My name is Gail Foreman. I live in Dunwoody, Georgia, but we have a house up here on Gold Valley Road that we've had since 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And my son used to go to Camp Barney Meddens down in Cleveland.
I
And
see.
the assistant camp director took us on a hike one day, and she told us about the Folk Pottery Museum in Sati Nakuchi, Georgia. And I said, the who, what, where? And we came up here to the Folk Pottery Museum, and I fell in love. I'm originally from Oakland, California, which is right next to the People's Republic of Berkeley. And I told my husband when I married a Georgia Tech professor. That's how I landed in Atlanta.
Good for you.
And I told my husband, I want you to take me about an hour out of Atlanta to some cute little town with like nice little shops and restaurants. And he looked at me and he said, honey, if I take you an hour out of Atlanta, the only thing you're going to get to is a Waffle House. So anyway, we were at camp, and the assistant director said about the Folk Pottery Museum, and we came up here, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is what I was looking for. And my husband sat next to Lucille on a flight, and she told him about Lucille's Mountaintop Inn. My husband took me to Lucille's for our anniversary. We had a phenomenal time, and by the end of the weekend, we'd hired a real estate agent.
Wow.
And he showed us around and showed us around and showed us around, and the real estate market was horrible. And we lucked out and bought a house on Gold Valley Road, and we absolutely love it up here.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now tell us a little bit what you do. I know you're a musician. I'm a musician. Don's a musician, and I don't know if can you play anything.
I played drums back in the
drums.
day, so effectively no.
And I'm sure Edward plays something here. I'm sure, but tell us about what you do.
Well, so I do a couple of things. Mostly I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I see clients remotely from my son's old bedroom, which is now my office. I have an exactly 30-foot commute, which I love.
Yeah.
And the other thing I do is I am a cantor in the Jewish tradition. I used to have a pretty regular cantorial job, and then things kind of changed. And now I just do high holiday pulpits in various places. And what's a cantor?
What is a
Yeah,
cantor?
Cantor.
Explain what you do. Yeah,
A
'cause-
cantor in the Jewish tradition is the person who carries the service musically. And most of the service, our services are mostly sung, almost 95% sung, and mostly in Hebrew. And the music is not like Western music at all. It's very different modes. And so I had to learn all of the services and all of the different musical modes and all of the ways that the services change during the year. And that took me, a good 10 years. And I study with a girlfriend who I know from California. We study together every Tuesday morning over the internet. And actually dropped out of rabbinical school to marry my husband. And when I applied to rabbinical school to become a rabbi, my rabbi who recommended me looked at me and he said, why do you want to go to rabbinical school? You should be a cantor. It turned out actually that he was right, and so now you find me. And
Can you give us just a few bars of something you might sing in one of your services? I don't know if it's. I assume it's
She's
appropriate.
looking off mic right now, looking to her friends for support.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברח לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
Now, tell us what you just sang.
Adon Olam means master of the world. And it's this song that we end our Saturday morning services with each week. And the final verse says, into your hand I place my soul. God is with me, I shall not fear.
Oh, wonderful.
And what time of year would that song, I guess, be?
That song would be every Saturday
Okay.
of the year without fail. Every single Saturday of the year
Fantastic.
at about noon.
While we're on the subject of music in the temple, I learned from an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm about this instrument. I learned about this instrument called the shofar.
Oh yeah, I have several.
Now, I didn't learn anything about that instrument other than Larry David getting out of some shenanigans, but how would that be featured in temple, and how, as you as a cantor, would you incorporate that?
So the shofar is only sounded in the synagogue on the Jewish New Year, which is Rosh Hashanah,
Okay.
and it's sounded 100 times during the day of Rosh Hashanah. And some congregations celebrate holidays for 2 days, and some celebrate for one. My synagogue celebrates for 2, and so it's 200 blasts. You don't blow the shofar on Saturday.
Okay.
You don't blow it, but it's basically sort of a wake-up call. It's the ancient trumpet, and the sound carried. And if you wanted to get the attention of the community, you blew the shofar, and boy, you can't sleep. It's shofar is way worse than a rooster.
Well, that's
It's a
what
lot
Joshua
louder.
used.
It is what Joshua
used
used.
in Jericho. Mm-hmm. And you and I have both been to Jericho any number of times. And
I've only been to Jericho once, which was back in 1978. But yes, I have been to Jericho.
yes, but that's exactly. And of course, much of that ruins is parts of it are still there.
Jericho is one of the oldest cities on the planet. It's at least 10,000 years old.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is an amazing place.
So back to the instrument. Would it be made out
It's
of
a
metal,
horn.
or is it
No,
a
it's a
horn?
horn.
It's a ram's horn.
Ram's horn. I've got one about 2 feet long. At the
Very
house.
beautiful
I'll bring it. But some of them, people would want to bring them home on the planes, and some of them were too big to bring home on the planes. But we would, as long as it's around 18 inches, 2 feet, you could put it catty corner in your suitcase. You bring one home. But
I got a 3-footer.
yeah, that's a big shofar, but it's a horn from an animal, and it's quite an amazing. I'll bring one up
Got
here
a
and let
very
you.
distinct sound.
Oh yeah, goodness, yeah, and it can't be duplicated really well. I've never heard it electronically duplicated.
I
guess
haven't.
the only thing you could do is maybe sample it, but yeah, it's an amazing instrument, and they're all over the place in Israel. They got buckets of them. You can buy them, of course, for the tourists, but nonetheless, they're still a sacred instrument. Well, that's fantastic. Now we don't have a large Jewish population in White County. I don't know how many. We certainly don't have a synagogue, do we?
Well, no, but there are 2 camps that have been here for many.
Oh,
many
yeah,
years.
the camps, yeah.
That she referred to. Our son
Yeah.
went to
Camp
Barney.
Barney and Camp
Camp
Coleman.
Yes.
And then you have Camp Ramat Darom, which is up in Clayton.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And those are owned by and run by synagogues in
Well, so Camp Barney is associated with the Jewish Community Center. Camp Coleman is associated with the Reform movement of Judaism, and Camp Ramat Darom is associated with the conservative movement. And then there are some Orthodox camps, but I think they are in North Carolina, New York, New Jersey. But those are the ones. It's amazing that we have those 3 camps right here in Georgia, and in this particular region of Georgia.
thousands and thousands of kids have been to those
Right.
camps.
One of the things that attracted me was the fact that I lived in Dunwoody as well, and the again large Jewish population, but also a lot of Christians, a lot of churches there. So I was a music man at a church right near where the synagogue is, not far at all. What, a mile?
Really close.
Yeah.
You live walking distance from my friend's house.
Oh yeah, and everybody walked anyway. everybody walked up, and, Saturdays everybody was walking out. I guess I haven't been down there in a while. I guess they still walk, don't they?
Not there's an Orthodox congregation on Tilly Mill, and they walk.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yep.
Because they would walk, not because our church was on Tilly Mill in Peter. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. And we really had an opportunity to with Jewish Community Center and our church when the tornado went through there in the 90s. We were open. We had a big gymnasium. We had all that space. People could shower, they could sleep, and that sort of thing, and feed them. Well, the Jewish Community Center did the same thing. And so we worked in tandem, which is what we were talking about a minute ago. It is amazing. It is amazing, even especially in the world situation we are in now, how well people can get along if we just be left alone to work together. And that's exactly what we did. And so I applaud you for being a part of that. And I guess you came there after I had already gone. You've been there, 20 years, you say?
I moved to Georgia, I think it was New Year's Eve, 2002.
Right. Well, I left in 2000.
Okay.
So I left there and I went to South Georgia. But anyway, but we didn't quite overlap, but we were right there close together. But it's been a delight to hear. And I appreciate you singing a little bit for us. She sang for me a minute ago, some other things, but what a joy, what a joy. And you brought some friends with you.
I did.
And they are?
My friend Melissa and my friend Judith.
And you all live in Dunwoody as well.
I do.
Are you, all three of you, part of the same synagogue group?
Well,
We used to be.
okay, so I met Judith 2 weeks after I moved to Atlanta. And I met Melissa when we were carpool partners when our kids both attended the Epstein
fantastic.
School.
Well, God bless you. We're glad you came in today. We've really had a lot of people in today from so many places, and so many people that have been like yourself, that just your personalities and your backgrounds just explode, which is part of what Saltee's all about. This store was designed for, obviously, to be, like, say, a 19th century Walmart, but at the same token, it was a place where people connected. Friends connected. How you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. And new friends come in. And so a traveler would come in from who knows where to come to the store to find a product that he needed. Came by horseback, obviously, years ago. And you didn't come by horseback today, but you did come in today. And we're delighted we made that intersection.
Well, thank you very
Really
much for having me.
It's been a delight.
So, Bill, I heard a little rumor that you work up at the courthouse. Is there any truth to that?
Well, as a matter of fact, there is. I'm retired, but I did a funeral for Don's cousin, I believe, Gerald Allison, several years ago. And Rick Kelly, our sheriff, had just become sheriff, and he needed a bailiff, and he noticed I had a tie. And that's what he says anyway. And so it hit him. Well, he's retired. He's got a tie. He could be flexible, because being a bailiff, you got to be very flexible in this county. And so he asked me asked me if I'd do it, and I said, well, I've been to court with a lot of church members through the years, so I kind of knew my way around a little bit. But anyway, he had we went through training, and yes, I serve as a bailiff for the White County Superior Court. We usually have court about once a month. Through the summer, we skip June and sometimes July, and we'll get back in the docket. And I work only about 1 week a month as a bailiff, but it's an interesting responsibility.
So you're making sure, like, potential jury members and stuff go into the right
room. The bailiff's main job is to take care of the jury, and then of course whatever the judge says. Now, technically, I've been hired by the sheriff's department, but in the courthouse I work for the judge. But my role, and all the bailiffs, we have 3 bailiffs, or 4 now, that our job is to take care of the jury and keep them protected once they're selected from any outside influence. And it's an important role, and I had never done anything like that, but you're dealing with people in crisis.
I've never made it to the 12-person jury, but I've obviously been part of a jury duty, jury selection
Right,
quite a
right.
few times, and I found every time that I've been involved, it's the bailiff that you're looking to when you're sitting in that room. How much longer? Well, you know, they're doing their questions, the defense and the prosecution asking, you know,
Yeah, we
weed
can't
out
tell.
questions.
We can't, even if we think we know an answer of something, unless it's specifically directed for their role right then. I don't discuss anything. I can't. And I mean, by law, I just simply take care of their needs. I don't want to influence them in any way, shape, or form. Even if, of course, I'm going to have an opinion about any case. I'm sitting there like anybody else would, but I'm not on the jury, so I have no. And occasionally people will ask me something. I said, I cannot answer it. I cannot give you a discussion. So our role is to take care of them. If they need water, they need to go to the restroom. If they need to, you know, we need to keep them together, keep them protected from anybody else in the courthouse that might influence them in any way, shape, or form.
Now, how long have you been doing this?
3 years or so, 3 or 4 years.
Perhaps you and I have crossed paths before.
Yeah, we
I
may
think
have.
about 2 years ago I had to go up there
Yeah,
for a
you know,
little
because
theft
we'll have
case.
when a jury comes in, there's usually about 100 people, and out
Mr.
of that 100,
Bailiff, I need to go to the restroom.
right?
All right.
I call that potty patrol. I have, you know, and because once a jury's selected, they can, when they go in the restroom or anything like that, they cannot be with anybody but jurors. So I have to make sure that it makes it awkward when a lady needs to use the ladies' restroom, because I have to knock on the door. Is there anybody in here? And if there is, I usually get some woman screaming at me like you're thinking I'm coming in there. But I just have to protect the folks, and it's been really a marvelous experience. We've got some great people in this county. When people come in, there's about 2/3 of them that don't want to be there, and you have to explain to them the role, how important it is. And then they'll ask me questions. I said, I can't answer that. You have to talk to the judge about that. So my role is just to keep them calm, keep them together, and there's always a straggler that goes off. Got to get a smoke somewhere, you know, and that sort of thing. So
That's me.
so, but anyway, really, it's been a very basically it's been an enjoyable experience.
Well, without getting you in any sort of trouble, 3 years is about long enough. You've got to have one whopper of a story, a doozy. What's just something that at the end of the day you got home and you're just like, honey, you'd never believe what happened?
I don't know if I mean, it's legal to talk about this stuff, but I'm not sure I want to name it. Let me just put it this way. We've had some really stupid cases. Really. Everybody has a right to trial. So, I mean, I don't deny that. But some of them could have been settled in a plea deal or by a couple of attorneys sitting in an office. But they have a right to go through. And some of them are so obvious. You know the outcome before you. I mean, there could not possibly be any other outcome, and they are. I mean, some of them are that frivolous. Some of them are quite serious, though, and some of the cases, and more of, and I don't make light of even because to the person, as frivolous as I think it might be, to that person, it's serious to them. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to take that away from them. And even if I have an opinion, you know, it's irrelevant what my thoughts are. And later, matter of fact, I ran into a lady recently here in the store. She came up to me and she says, "Aren't you a bailiff at the courthouse?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "I was on one of your juries." And she said to me, "That was the craziest week I ever been in my life." She said, that should have never, you know, she was telling me about it. Well, I already knew that, but again, at the same token, some of them are quite serious, and very intense, and it's some of them very heartbreaking. And so it's a real mix, but most of them are very serious. But every once in a while, some frivolous case comes up, and I give it to the judges because sometimes how they can keep a straight face on some of that stuff. But I don't want to talk about a specific case, but just know there's a good mix.
Did you get a badge, Bill?
I got a badge. Matter of fact, I was given my badge at the Roadhouse, and I was officially became a bailiff at the Roadhouse. Or at least got my badge.
I guess our listeners don't know about that. Next episode, maybe we can explain what the Roadhouse is.
Yeah, it's a special place. Special place. in our
Very
hearts.
special.
But yeah, I got my badge, and I got like I say, I have to wear a tie. And actually, yesterday I bought a couple of new pair of pants for so I'd be wearing with my sport coats because I've lost weight since I had last time my pants won't stay up, so had to get a couple new pair of pants so I can wear I'm not gonna wear a suit. Suit's too heavy for that role, but I gotta got to dress decent somehow.
Well, all right, Bill. You talked to me a little bit last week and about a little animal around the store called the wampus.
Wampus. We were going to bring that wampus over here to see you. See, you not seen the wampus?
I got to see it today, and
Have you? What do you think?
I think you need to take it to the vet because it may have mange.
It is looking pretty rough.
I think it's going through a molt.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it'll be
Is
all
that,
right.
is that season? Yeah.
When it comes out of molt, I think he'll be good.
Yeah. If you're
But other than that,
if you've not seen our wampus, you're listening. You need to come by. It's worth the trip. We have people that were here. The wampus is really old. It's amazing how an animal could live that long. But we've had people that came in here 50 years ago, and are anxious to let their children, grandchildren meet the wampus. Which makes me think. Had a man come in today that his first time was here was 1956, and he was telling me that he went up to the old counter in the old store, and that's where he got his candy. I never thought about it. They distributed the candy from behind the counter. They probably had some, don't you imagine they had some glass jars or something there with the candy in it?
I'm sure they did.
Up on
but,
shelves and stuff.
The part that the candy and all is in now did not exist in 1956.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. There was still a post office there in 1956. So everything was there. But he was talking about how he remembered vividly, and he wasn't as old as I am, so he must have been a little boy.
That's cool.
And I thought that was kind of neat. He was quite taken with the fact that the counter's still there. And I said, well, we don't have any candy back there. If we do, I said, it's something I've dropped. And
Might be out of date.
yeah, probably a little bit out of date, like some of those things back there. I wouldn't be tasting any of those products back there. But,
Don, how would you feel about selling T-shirts to raise money for the Wampus's vet bill? The Wampus lives.
yeah, we need a wampus. We need a wampus T-shirt.
We do need a Wampus T-shirt, and we'll put that on the Christmas list.
I met the wampus at this old Saltee store.
Yeah, there you go. Guys, I'm tired. I'm tired. We've been from Saltee to Atlanta to Israel,
Yeah.
and back to Saltee today. That's a long trip.
Well, that's as it is so far. What are y'all getting into the rest of the day?
Now, hopefully the pool.
I'm thinking I'm going to go up to the river and do a little treasure hunting myself.
Well, that's another subject we need to talk about a little bit more down the road.
I'll be happy
I
to.
want to open the door to another trip that's going to take us to Norway.
Yes.
And I'll leave it with that. That is a big part of our tradition and history here at the store, but the country of Norway is. But let me just say this: the trolls are coming back.
Well, on that note, Don, Bill, thank y'all for having me. It's been a pleasure as
Thank you.
always. And this has been the Front Porch Podcast at the Old Saltee Store. We're going to have trolls and more next week. Talk to you then.